that. Hello, I'm a Roman Catholic. I can't decide between Orthodoxy and Catholicism. Anything I should do? Orthodoxy seems so strong and right, and I feel the same with Catholicism. Well, there are various ways to approach this question, and different people approach it in different ways. But ultimately, we'll all arrive at come and see. Right. So there will be many people who will study for years, perhaps. They'll look at church history, look at theology, and that's a way that many people have come to Orthodoxy, because the truth is apparent in history. The truth is apparent in the events that we're going to be commemorating in 2-3 weeks in Alabama. The truth is apparent. That's why we're doing it, for the sake of you and many others who are searching today, because they're looking at the contemporary situation in the world. They're looking at this contemporary Pope, and they're saying, what's going on here? This is not the apostolic power, truth, way, right? There's a lot of problems. So people are troubled, and they're looking, and they're examining, so there's one way to go about that, to do your research, and perhaps that's what you're inclined to do. Other people say, I'm not an academic. I don't research these things. I don't know. I can't deal with all these topics. I'm not going to sit down and read a ton of books. So they move quickly to the experience of God, and they go to an Orthodox church. They visit. I didn't know about Orthodoxy much at all, even though my grandfather was from Greece. My mother was raised an Anglican, and my father an Anglican priest for 28 years. And then when they all converted, and I was at college, I went to the local Greek Orthodox church. Never been an Orthodox church, I don't think, ever in my life before that. And I walked in a Vesper service, and immediately within half an hour, even though it was very simple, very plain, we would say today, if I had gone to that today after being a priest for 30 years, or I went to that Vesper service, I would say, oh, okay, whatever, I did. But God visited my soul on that day and spoke and said, this is another world. I had been going for about a year and a half to Roman Catholic services. I had many Roman Catholic friends at the time. We were doing pro-life work together. We were sitting in front of abortion clinics. We were trying to help women in crisis pregnancies. I was traveling all around the world all around the United States with pro-life leaders at the time, very involved on college campuses. So I had a lot of experience with a lot of very sincere and zealous Roman Catholics, and had gone many times to Mass. And so when I walked out of that Vesper service, I closed the door and said, that's another world, and I'm back in another world. I mean, it was, I could feel, that's what it seemed like to me. I could feel the difference between the spirit in that place and the spirit out on the street. And I had never felt that in Anglicanism or Catholicism. So for me, I was Orthodox on the first day. I had to train my mind, as it were, to follow my heart. And, I had to read, but even that didn't happen. That didn't take long either. So there's different ways, different people come to the church, come to the truth. You have to seek it in prayer. You have to beg God to show you the way, and you have to take steps, like in everything in life. That's how it works, right? You do and you pray. You don't just say, God, show me, and then you sit. You don't just go and do and not pray to God and ask his guidance, or you do both. He wants you to do both. And that's how it works. It's a synergy, we say in Orthodoxy, working together, God and man. So you have to do both. And you're going to do a little bit of everything probably at the end of the day. But you've got to ultimately go and see. You've got to go and search out the Orthodox Church in a time and space, because the incarnation happened in Bethlehem, in a particular place, at a particular time, in Jerusalem, the events of the incarnation and all the rest. The church continues. It is the continuation of the incarnation, and you have to experience Christ in a particular time and place. It's a scandal for the rationalist. He can't get his head around that. He thinks that, well, can't we all just be good? Can't we all just be, even if we're all in the different denominations, can't we all just say we're all in Christ and all this stuff? This is the worldly, delusional idea here that does not size up when we look at the words of the Lord and the words of the gospel. I mean, he says to his disciples and others, eat my body and drink my blood. That doesn't fit into the rationalist, modernist way of thinking about religions and about, truth and all the rest, right? So you've got to go in time and space to a particular divine liturgy, a particular community, and participate. Now, as a non-Orthodox inquirer, you're going to participate in a very much more limited way. Obviously, you're not going to be able to commune, and you may have to leave after the gospel in some places. But in any case, that's how it starts. And you meet the people, and you talk, and you go, and you have to be patient, and you have to be patient, and you have to go deeper. Now, if you go back and forth on an intellectual level, and you're not prepared to take the steps, I've seen people literally just kind of flounder forever, or never become Orthodox, or never really come to any conclusion in their search, because it's not just an intellectual search. It's not just an intellectual question. It's not just an analysis of history or analysis of theology. You can, again, see the truth in church history, see the truth in church theology. It's very clear, I think. It's going to be very clear in 3 weeks with this conference that the Pope walked away from the church. The Pope turned his back on the creed. He turned his back on the council that he accepted, the previous popes accepted. It seems very clear to me that history shows what church is continuing and continued to this day, following the fathers of the first millennium. But there are other people who don't see it. And so what are they going to do? They continue to search and continue to read, but I think you also have to end up experientially coming and seeing, as the Lord said, come and see. So a little bit of both, but ultimately that's what's got to happen.